Brother lads, welcome back to Cossy Podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to brand new video. Did you know that Mikel Arteta considered quitting Arsenal in the summer after failing to win the Premier League? He thought he was not good enough and he considered leaving the post of Arsenal manager, going away. He did consider that. Also, Gabriel Jesus is going to be out for a minimum of 5 to 6 weeks. We're going to be diving into Mikel Arteta's press conference ahead of that Manchester City game. He talked about a couple of things, the bridge between Arsenal and Manchester City, the gap in quality, and also whether Manchester City consider us real title rivals and favorites. I want to ask you a question right there in the comment box below. Do you think we are real contenders for the title this season? I mean, honestly, apart from the signings, apart from Rice and Timber and Kai Havertz, because literally we were very close last season. So, do you think this season we stand a genuine chance to win the Premier League with Manchester City, in that race? I want your thoughts. I want your opinions because I'm going to be drawing my my predictions for the season. They're gonna be a little bit cranky, but we will dive into it. Let's dive into Mikel Arteta's press conference as he addresses a couple of questions ahead of the Manchester City game that we are playing this Sunday. First and foremost, he was asked on Aaron Ramsdale's interview with the Players Tribune article, and he says, "I thought the article was great. It was very, very open, very transparent. I like the way he expressed what he feels, the topics he discussed, and I think he was very, very brave to do the way he actually did it." Now, if you didn't know, Aaron Ramsdale had an interview with the Players Tribune. Literally, it's kind of a YouTube channel. It's kind of a media where players are interviewed, on a couple of questions, on a couple of topics. Granit Xhaka had an interview, in-depth one, where he talked about Mikel Arteta's persuasion to keep him at the side, and one of the reasons why he actually stayed at Arsenal was Mikel Arteta. So Ramsdale had that interview, and he talked about the way people actually mistreated him when he had just joined Arsenal. So people told him, even Arsenal fans told him, "You're shite, you're trash, you're not good enough. You should never have signed for our club, Arsenal Football Club. You are a relegation merchant. You're not good enough to play for Arsenal, and we are not going to go anywhere when you're in goal." And still, last season, Aaron Ramsdale's wife had a miscarriage. So he was going through a very hard time, but Mikel Arteta was there for him, and despite the fact that all these things happened, Ramsdale kept being in goal and kept on being a very good goalkeeper, even though emotionally he was going through a lot. So Mikel says that it was very transparent, it was good, but on the bigger side, if you've watched that interview, if you've watched the press conference, Mikel says that as a manager, that is what you've got to do. That is your role as well. It's not about selecting the 11, understanding who is fit and not fit to play, but it's also about to provide that kind of emotional support to the team, talk to the players, understand where they're coming from, understand what they're going through, and you're like a parent. And I think Mikel, Arsene Wenger, have been like parents. I'm not really sure what goes on within Unai Emery's dressing rooms, but with Mikel Arteta, with Arsene Wenger, every single player that has actually come out and talked about them, you understand there is that line where he's more like a parent rather than a manager. So Ramsdale did go through a lot last campaign. He has gone through a lot ever since signing for Arsenal. The fact that he was never wanted by his own fans, the fact that Premier League fans as a whole thought that he was cast to be relegated with every Premier League side. It has been very difficult for him as a player. But Mikel has actually handled that very, very well on his side. Mikel Arteta on Ramsdale comments about the boss during his tough period. He says, "At the end of the day, we cannot forget that we are dealing with people, with human beings as well, and we are responsible to manage a lot of decisions with the players and things that can affect their lives. We have the big responsibility there." And wherever we can, obviously, we have to support and be close to them because I know how much it means. Not only, but the club, his teammates, everybody that supported him, they need to. So, literally, I think here he just talks about the kind of support got from the teammates, the likes of Granit Xhaka, the likes of Martin Odegaard. I think it's a traumatizing period when you sign for a club and they don't want you. It's a traumatizing period when your own fans are singing Ramsdale out, you're not good enough, you shied, and things like that. And I think Ramsdale has said this on a couple of podcasts, on a couple of platforms, especially on YouTube. I think I watched this interview on the Fellas podcast where he said it is hard to be disliked by your own fans. It is very, very hard. It's a traumatizing experience. But Mikel has been there, supportive, just like the way Kai Havertz said. Mikel is the most supportive guy when it comes to Arsenal as a club. Mikel Arteta on Sunday's Community Shield encounter, he says, we're very excited to play a final and the opportunity to win a trophy against the team that is the best, that is the team to beat. They were the best team in Europe last season, and we know what standards are and how we need to win the game, but we are very, very excited. If you're not excited for this game, if you're not excited about playing City, you're sick. You're purely, purely sick. Like, I missed competitive football, but I also I kind of feel like the Manchester City Arsenal game is replacing the Arsenal Manchester United game. It's kind of replacing it in a way that I kind of feel like I want to play Manchester City every single week. Why? Because they're certainly better than us, but we are slowly and surely progressing to their levels. So every single day, every single week, I want to see, can we beat them now? Can we win the game now? Can we beat them now? And what we saw last campaign is Arsenal lost 3 out of 3 games, and 2 of those games we played very poorly, like very, very poorly. So that actually pushes us to go, have we become better? Can we now put in a challenge? Can we now give them a run for their money? And probably yes, we can. Probably no, we can't. But it just calls for a lot of excitement. It just causes a lot of excitement because it's a huge game. Like, it's a real good game. Everyone is waiting for the Premier League, and what an encounter, what a game to just remind them that the best of the Premier League is back. Man City, Arsenal, Community Shield. There's a time when Leicester City played Man City. There's a time when Arsenal played Liverpool. And yeah, it was kind of a good curtain raiser, but this is the best curtain raiser we've had in years. City, Arsenal. First and second last campaign. Arsenal led the Premier League table for 248 days. Manchester City eventually somehow scooped the title. It's going to be interesting, and I'm really, really, really excited. I'm not saying Arsenal will win this one, but I'm saying it's going to be interesting to have those 2 play in the Community Shield. Mikel Arteta on the size of our squad and whether we're going to do anything about it. He says we are in the process of working on a few things and to make a few decisions. There is still time to do that. We are very, very happy with the squad, that's for sure. As well, we have to make sure that we share minutes around the team in order to have a healthy competition within the squad. We are working on that. I think by the end of August, we will have gotten to know which players are going to be part of Mikel Arteta's team and which players won't be part of the squad. Pepe, Austin Trusty, Matt Turner, surprisingly Matt Turner, Cedric Soares, Rob Holding, all those players still have a lot of time to live. And if they decide to stay, I will be very, very, very mad. Like, this squad needs to be very, very precise, and we need to trim it to the extreme. But Mikel says there is a lot of time, so let's wait and see. I still expect at least 5 deals to be done within the next 10 days. If Raya comes in, Matt Turner, Arthur Okonkwo, and Runa Runason must leave. We must have 3 goalkeepers, Karl Hein, Raya, and Ramsdale. I doubt we'll get a striker, so I'm not dealing with that. But I expect Balogun to leave as well. I expect a couple of midfield reinforcements to go, like Lokonga. In my opinion, there is nothing he's doing there. In that midfield, Charlie Patino's transfer exit should be confirmed in the next 10 days as well. If he doesn't want to be on loan, if he doesn't want to be on the bench, there is no place for him at Arsenal right now. I mean, he can play like Odegaard, but that's gonna be like in the next 5 years, and he's that impatient. So Mikel says we are trimming the squad, and you shouldn't be extremely surprised when some of the names you're not expecting are leaving. Mikel Arteta on whether there is an optimum number of players we want in the squad. He says optimum people and optimum players as well. So we are not just having players there. There is a desirable number, according to Mikel, and that desirable number has to be met. On Gabriel Jesus' knee injury, when do we expect him to be back? He says he's fine. Obviously, he was very, very disappointed. He was feeling really good. This is an issue that came up which nobody expected. So we had a little procedure there. Unfortunately, it is the best thing to do. It was the best thing to do, and as quick as possible, the better. We made the decision, and hopefully he will be back very, very soon. Hopefully, that is the word. If he says he will be back very, very soon, that would be good. But he says hopefully he will be back very, very soon, and is very, very disappointed. That is my problem. I think he's gonna be out for a very long time. We are hearing that Gabriel Jesus is going to be out for a minimum of 5 to 6 weeks. That is 1.5 months. But also, you've got to consider that within that 1.5 months, we will have played Man City. We will have played Man United as well. So, again, we are back to square one. Do we need a striker? Obviously. We absolutely need a number 9. We need a good one, actually. We need a very, very good number 9. But Mikel says that was the right thing to do with Gabriel Jesus. And he's disappointed, but we took the best decision for the player. On Saka's on the team news for Sunday, says Bukayo Saka was feeling much better today, so I don't expect any other concerns. Saka didn't play in the Monaco game because Mikel said that he didn't want to start him, but then he eventually became unwell on the bench. Does it make sense? Like, does it make any sense to you that a player is out on the bench because the manager decided to drop him, but when he wants to call upon him, the player is sick on the bench? Interesting. Very, very interesting, Mikel. But he says Saka is back. Saka is back. There's no problem there. Okay. On whether our new signings will allow us to earn more points this season, he says, I don't have a clue. What happened last season and this season is not something you can compare. There are other teams who have strengthened as well, and they will be much, much better too. I wish it were that simple, but unfortunately it is not. I think this is where people get it wrong. I think we've strengthened. I think we are in a much better place as a team. But I don't think Rice and Kai Havertz and Timber come with 20 points straight from the Premier League administration. I don't think that is it, right? I think the reality actually is our signings could slow us down. Because you look at Kai Havertz, he's nowhere near settling in. You look at Rice, he's nowhere near settling into the side. Timber is the only player who has actually played much better among the signings and among some of the players that have actually been in the team. So, will Timber give us more points? Definitely. Will Rice and Kai Havertz slow us down? Definitely. So, unless Mikel is brave enough to go, my signings will take some time to get into the side. So, I'm going to play Trossard, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, and Odegaard, and Fabio Vieira. If he's that brave, then we will have the same number of points and even better. But if he insists to play the same like we've played in preseason, it's going to be kind of a slow start as compared to last season. So I agree with Mikel there. It is not as black and white as people think. On how he convinced Declan Rice to sign for us, he says we just explain our thoughts on him, the project we are building, what his role is going to be in the club and in the team. We got into that very much on the day on day one with him and his family as well, and we are delighted to have him in the side. On links to David Raya, no updates. On whether we are on whether we are on where we are in the journey, and if this is a new era for the club to compete for honors. It says that is what we want, to be on every front fighting for trophies, and being as a club in every front to try to be the best. We have to prove that what we did last year was something, but it wasn't enough to win the biggest trophy and the one we are looking after. We have to be better, and that comes every day with trying to be better and making better decisions and playing better and deserving to win the games. In the end, the outcome will come by itself. On Jurgen Klopp's comments that City are the only team that can challenge the title, he says, I respect that. They've shown their consistency over the years, and they merit their respect from everybody for what they've done. If you want to challenge for that championship, you know the total points that you're going to go and you're going to need. And that's unheard of in this league for the last 100 years. So that's the standard. And if you want to be there, you know what you have to do. I think Jurgen Klopp is wrong. I kind of feel like Jurgen Klopp is wrong. City are not the only team that can challenge the title. But City are the only sure deals to challenge for the title. I won't be surprised if Chelsea go on a 10-game unbeaten run, only wins. They have the ability, they have a good manager, they have a new squad, they have a new team. Brighton have ever gone 10 games unbeaten. Brentford have gone 10 games unbeaten. Does that mean they're challenging for the title? No. But does that mean that we have teams that do challenge and can challenge for the title in the Premier League? Yes. The problem is that they are not systematically organized as Manchester City, as simple as that. Okay. On what he's learned about Declan Rice so far, he says that he's a good player, extremely excellent. So we have to make sure that we don't make him worse. We have to put we want him to put on the quality and the abilities that he has, and let him express his personality and the way he thinks about the game in the right way. If we can help him with a few things, that's what we'll try to do. We will try to accommodate his qualities into the team to be better. On whether Kai Havertz will fit into the side, it says, well, he's playing at the moment in attacking midfield on the left, but he can play on the right as a winger coming inside, or as a 9 or false 9. We'll see. It depends as well on where as well as we're seeing a lot of things, and the team gives you a lot of information every day. There's some connections and relationships that you that you expect, which is natural. So we have to we have our eyes open to that, and not just close the door to something because sometimes it is not the best thing to do. On Rice's arrival, proving that we can challenge City for players, it says, I think the most important thing is that we have a target and we have resources that we need to bring in that target, but as well that we can convince him and tell him things that excite him, that he feels inspired and he wants to be part of the Arsenal side, and he can actually help us to improve every single day. So that's Mikel Arteta on his ambition on the game, Rice and Kai Havertz, and the injury on Gabriel Jesus, plus his update on Matt Raya. On David Raya, actually, not Matt Raya.